I don't understand.
Defense network computers. New, powerful, hooked into everything. Trusted to run it all. They say it got smart. A new order of intelligence.
But what we know for certain is that at some point in the early 21st century, all of mankind was united in celebration. We marveled at our own magnificence as we gave birth to AI.
AI. You mean artificial intelligence?
How long have we been warned not to go this route?
Good
route
dark,
we're going.
good dark morning to you, or just dark morning to you, I guess. Gosh.
This is Jack's fault, by the way. Jack chose this topic.
Yeah, I did. It's just, we talk about point raise, and this is, informally called the Point Raise podcast. But, there are other stuff going on in the world, and it intersects rather obviously with what we do. So, yeah. Yeah.
I love when Morpheus is like, we united in celebration of we marveled at our own creation. We're so smart. And it's still happening. That's exactly what's happening right now. These dumb kids who just want to do what they can instead of think, should we? And this was confirmed as I did a little bit of searching for statistics this morning to benefit or to supplement the show.
Please.
And before I get to that, why don't you tell us why you were inspired to choose this topic today? And good morning, Lynn Klein.
Oh, good morning, Lynn. Yeah, so it intersects with so much stuff that we deal with in our little, as I call it, the microcosm of Point Reyes Seashore, which is, a capitalist system. And not that I'm 100% anti-capitalist, but if it's unregulated by the people, which is ideally an elective democratic government, we're doomed. And the bigger picture is right now we have, all over the news, whether it's Elon Musk or Zuckerberg or I'm not an expert in this topic at all, so I'm going to claim that a few times going in, but I am affected by people saying, oh, AI is great, or you should use ChatGPT or the large language models, and basically outsourcing our thinking to these more intelligent systems that are being sold for a profit. And that's what it comes down to, is just constant smoke being blown up our keisters saying how much better it's all going to be. And it's headed toward what you just showed. So can we talk about that in our podcast? Thanks for indulging me.
Why are we so anxious to stop thinking?
I don't know that it's that. I think, honestly, it's just a system set up where you hear Elon Musk saying that, we're going to cure cancer. I was going to pull together a whole bunch of clips, but I'd rather just talk. Why do we want?
While we're in an administration that ended cancer research?
Well, yeah, exactly.
How much more full of shit could we be?
And then it goes back to the Carlin idea. We're bouncing around here, but all these themes are intertwined, which is, how do you become informed on a topic anymore? Oh, we'll just go to AI and you'll type it into the magic machine and it'll give you the answer because it combs the internet and pulls together the truth to give to you. And as I've mentioned several times, Yuval Noah Harari wrote a wonderful book, Nexus, and his one before that is Sapiens, talking about how the information glut we have is not truth. Information is not truth. It's information. In fact, we call it disinformation or lies. It's easy to get saturated in. You get buried in information and you still have to discern the truth. And AI is not going to do that for you. It can do something and has some worth. I'm not saying disregard all of it, but as you say, we're outsourcing our own ability to think, and people run toward that. I've been told by an animal rights group I work with that I respect, if you want to write something for us, use ChatGPT, have it write the initial thing, and then you go in and correct it. And I keep explaining to them that the process of sitting in front of a blank page, the writer's dilemma, in the cabin with your old typewriter. Well, forget cabin. That's got a bad connotation with Ted Kaczynski. But just, what am I going to say next? What do I want to say next?
Mm-hmm.
You and I are going to go to Point Reyes Seashore soon. I'm not saying when. And no one's going to tell us where to go, what to say, what to assess, what to photograph. And no one can. No machine can do that for us because we're in this incredible realm of human intelligence, which I like to think you and I can possess at times, which is rational thought and then also intuition, whatever that is. It's Jung's collective unconscious. But where do we go and what are we going to come upon? And our interaction with the world as human beings has been going on for thousands of years. And we're increasingly, to use your term, outsourcing that, our thinking, not to mention our going out in the world. We sit in front of computer screens. Or as yesterday I was walking a mile down the street to a mall to get something. And I saw two people, my age, old people in their 60s. And they're sitting at a picnic table on a lawn area, a park. And I swear to God, they're both looking down separately on sides of the table at their phones.
Yeah.
They're not just sitting in a park anymore. There's no downtime. And I'm guilty of this too.
Downtime. And every single time that I try to watch sports or anything on television, it's got to be 90% of it is a pharmaceutical commercial to cure your depression and all this other shit. Maybe put down your phone and look at the tree next time you're out. How can I tie even this into point raise? Well, one of the commercials that I've seen for AI was an older farmer about to pass down the ranch to his daughter, and she was using AI to figure out how to sustainably grow her crops. I'm like, hold on a second. You guys always say that you know better than everyone else, and it's generation after generation, and you goddamn city folks aren't going to tell us how to do it. And now here's AI. Now here's an AI commercial flipping that on its head, and we love AI because it's teaching us how to do it properly. I thought you knew how to do it properly.
Well, it becomes a negative feedback loop where you rely on the AI to do your thinking for you, which means your ability to think becomes lessened. You're not practicing. And then you have to increasingly rely on AI. And we all did this growing up in our generation. We were around, as calculators. Texas Instruments calculators were coming on. And instead of memorizing the 12 times 12 is 144, well, you don't have to do that anymore. You just check. And arguably, you don't need to memorize your timetables. You can put your mind on other things. But if you outsource everything, what is it? You don't exercise your facility at all, and it atrophies. By the way, Corinne asks, good morning, Corinne, in the comments, can you please define, fair enough place to start, can you please define the iteration of AI that we are currently experiencing? And my answer to that is, in a nutshell, no, I can't. I listen to a fair amount of podcasts on AI, and I'm going to make this qualification at least one more time in the show, but I am not an expert in this area at all. I listen to smart people, and I can refer people to do with point raised on some detailed issue. Like, I don't know enough about that. Read this book or listen to this podcaster or read this author. But large language models are not AI. There's generative AI, and then there's what's the one where it's self-sustaining? It theoretically has intelligence as we do. And we're not there yet, although the promise of that is always just around the corner. And give me more billions of dollars if you're a tech entrepreneur. And a lot of it is, the other thing I do want to touch on is it's a scam in the sense that Elon Musk will get on a stage, as he did, to be fair, with his Tesla cars, and say, give us money, they're going to be great, and they're going to come on to the market in a year. And it's not that can't happen, but at the moment he says it, it's vaporware. It's a promise based on the fact that that promise will get him the billions of dollars to then realize that dream. And that's what every marketer does, to be fair to the guy. But now it's just gotten absurd, where he just makes absolutely absurd claims about, we'll be living on Mars in 3 years or 5 years, or some absolute pablum. And people lap this stuff up. I mean, not just his fanboys, but the general public is, I don't know. It's not the people I circulate with, and not you, Skyler, and the friends you have, but apparently enough people are believing this and investing. I guess it's, again, the capital system self-sustaining. It needs to invest in something and be excited about something to justify its existence, right?
Let's be clear. I don't have any friends. You said self-sustaining, and I have a problem with that already, because this is something that I learned about with AI that came up recently, and it was an aspect of it that I hadn't even considered, like these giant computers and these facilities where it's taking place at are using up all this water in order just to cool the facility itself. And in 2025, AI used as much water as the entire bottled water industry. Okay, that's pretty disturbing.
If true, which it may be, if true, right?
Well, speaking of, if it's true, I was going and trying to learn more about exactly how much it's using up.
Uh-huh.
And all these techies on Reddit are busy defending the water waste.
Of course.
Not denying it,
Yeah.
but defending it. And how do they defend it, Jack?
I am
Well, I'm gonna. This is what makes it applicable to this program and Point Raise.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that they can prove it's not wasteful and not bad. It's that we have examples of other things that are also wasteful. So hey, if this bad thing exists, why can't this bad thing exist?
Right.
Like,
right.
Oh, almonds use up this much water, or it'll be one of the first times that they'll eagerly admit how much beef uses up. You know, a pound of beef and 2,000 gallons of water for a pound of beef. And all these bad things exist, so why can't we do this one too? Geez, maybe because water is a finite source.
I've already heard we're doomed anyway. We're screwing the planet, so we need to hurry up and build those ships to Mars to get off it. I mean, honestly, the one of my favorite films of all time. Not everybody liked it nearly as much as I did. Don't Look Up.
Yeah. They
had Mark Rylance, amazing actor. You don't know his name, but he's doing little parts. But he played a tech billionaire modeled after Zuck and Elon Musk and stuff, and just promising us that yes, he can send his robots out. It's very calm and very measured voice, wonderful little performance, and he sends his robots out into space via satellites to destroy the asteroid that's headed toward Earth. That's going to destroy the planet. And don't worry, we can, the robots will land on the on the giant comet headed toward, or asteroid headed toward Earth, drill holes, plant explosives, and break it up into fragments that will pose no threat. And we'll get to mine the minerals too off those fragments, rather than destroy it. And of course, the robots fail and the planet's destroyed. And he runs away to try to get to another planet to escape. It's a wonderful satire. Came out about 5 years ago. Don't Look Up. Highly recommend it for our audience if they haven't seen it.
The running to another planet to escape really bothers me.
Why is that, Skylar?
Gee, thanks for asking. I almost said it's a vegan mentality, but it's not. It's just a basic decency mentality. Imagine if something else was in charge on this planet and we had to just helplessly watch. And they're just like, well, F the planet. Let's keep fucking it up as long as we get to escape. I mean, just the dismissiveness of all other life. And if you are a Christian, as you Trumpy dumpies pretend to be, aren't you supposed to be thankful for these creations that were provided instead of being, oh, look how fast we can destroy it and use our brilliance to go somewhere else and destroy it too? So Corinne asks this. Do you want to answer this question?
Is this the endless growth paradigm? Well, that's certainly part of it, Corinne. It's a combination of affinity for all things technological. And, I have all the technology. We're on a computer now and smartphones and all the rest of it. But it's an absolute worship of it all, as if it's all great. Plus the idea that we need to grow the economy, which, again, is feeding a capital system. More. And then we make more money that everybody gets and it trickles down, as opposed to my idea that it should ooze up from the working person, the working stiff, because I identify with them. I am them. I don't know. You tell me what else drives it.
It's all these things that aren't a necessity that we're so excited about. That's part of it. Things that we were fine without it. We weren't. We weren't fine, but this isn't going to solve the human problem. Our lack of consciousness is the problem.
This is egotistical, but so be it. This morning, as I often do, I put out a little bit of birdseed on a railing. And it's near a tree, and I know that there are these usually sparrows, golden crowned sparrows and white crowned sparrows for a label. It doesn't matter what kind of birds they are. They're there and they're looking at me, and then as soon as I put the seed down and back off, they come and they eat. And I just stand there for a few minutes, sometimes with a cup of coffee, sometimes just not in the little bit of sun that's peeking over the hills here. just watching those guys eat. And it reminded my mother used to do the same thing back in New York State, upstate New York, and just put out bird seed and watch the birds. And I just love them for reasons I can't really explain, and I can intellectualize, and they're part of nature and my mother, and aren't they cute or whatever, but it's something's going on there that has nothing to do with technology. And then I can go into my stories as I do as an activist saying, how dare us, we, them, just blow this, just ignore all this, just push it aside and say, what we need is get to Mars and get more data centers that you were talking about, which require huge amounts of water and huge amounts of energy.
And let's obsess over the fact that let's see what we can do. Look what I invented. And like,
it's all contorted. Like there's a need for creation and doing something in this life on this planet, especially in our culture. This is America's a land of doers. So it's not that we shouldn't do things, but again, I'm always going back to my major theme of connection to nature, which I know you have big time too. That's why we do what we do, but just appreciation for the natural world. Without that, it doesn't matter what we do intellectually, how impressive our machines are. We're going to do destructive things like run a war machine to make money, nothing to do with life. It's all anti-life, quite arguably.
Right. And it goes back to the lack of consciousness. You were talking about the pleasure from something as simple as watching birds. I also appreciate that. But you also talked about earlier how you saw the old people in the park just staring at the phone. You're not aware. You're living here, and therefore your thought process is only here, and you're not thinking about, oh wow, wait, there are living things around us that are going to be destroyed. And this lack of consciousness is an overreaching theme for treating other creatures like shit, which reminds me again of the excuses being put out on the Reddit and other sources that are defending this. It reminds me of the people who insist on continuing to pursue a meat and cheese diet because, oh, well, humans are suffering. Why are you guys so worried about animals suffering? Well, did you bring any suffering to a lower amount by providing that excuse? No, you just found a justification to continue to be shitty.
I recently met a lovely woman. I like her. She's a therapist, smart, caring, good person. And, we're getting to know each other a little bit. And she's saying, oh, you're a vegan. I'm not. I need to eat meat to be healthy. And I just dropped my head like, oh God, like, how do I even approach that? I mean, someone believes it who's educated, a good person. I mean, not an angry Trumper, not that all Trump, and anyway, forget Trumpers. It was just so dispiriting. Like, I have so much information. That is an area I know a good amount of facts about. And, the first question is, so you need to eat meat to be healthy. Tell me exactly what nutrient is in meat, animal flesh, that you can't get from plants. Just what is it? And of course, there is no scientific answer to that. Amino acids, protein, B vitamins. Oh, it makes me feel good. I trust my body. I mean, there's no science to it.
No.
I do believe in science. I will qualify because I'm always attacking, abstracts from gobbledygook scientists. But just like I just what you're doing right now, just rubbing my temple, like, oh God, I don't even want to go there.
Let me provide a different approach to that. How many people who are meat eaters have been advised by their doctors to cut out their meat intake? To cut red meat is usually on the lists that I would hear from people that I knew. It's like, oh, I can only eat white meat now because red meat is so bad for you. I mean, this was before the vegan movement. This was a common thing. It's like if you're having high heart problems, if you're having cholesterol problems, it's like you had to cut red meat out of your diet. And then eventually you find out, oh shit, I need to cut the other meat out too because of all the problems it's causing. And yet, while doctors are actually saying, yeah, I'm sorry, you've got to cut down on your meat intake, simultaneously we have this argument that it's like, oh, we have to eat meat to be healthy.
Yeah,
even the secular medical world that actually promotes the stupid bullshit diagram that we saw in the school with meat and cheese at the top, and you go to a hospital cafeteria and they're feeding you shit in the hospital cafeteria,
Oh God.
even then doctors will be like, oh yeah, your arteries are effed, you better cut down on your meat intake. How do you explain that one, people?
Yeah, indeed. And it's funny, you remind me that that was a thing. I guess I've heard so much as a vegan activist. I hear so much about the paleo diet, where you eat as primitive man does, killing animals with spears and collecting nuts and seeds and berries, because that's how I live when I go to the mall in my Cybertruck. But I had forgotten that. Yeah, indeed, what you say. The movie Sleeper, the Woody Allen film from what was the 1980s or 70s. They go into the future. He wakes up 200 years later, whatever, kind of like the theme of Idiocracy. And the joke in there is that, no, cigarettes are great for you, tobacco is wonderful, and meat is terrific for you because, as you say, meat was considered something you shouldn't eat a lot of. And ironically, I'm not a health concerned vegan. I was very healthy physically. I was blessed with radiant health, so I can eat a lot of meat and fried foods and chicken and fish and beef and roast beef and all that stuff, and I feel fine if I didn't, overeat it. But yeah, I mean, I came in through the environmental wing, as it were, and then I was then willing, since I was involved with a vegan then, to look at the ethics of it. And then as soon as I saw what happens to animals, it's like, oh my God, now I'm willing to look at this because I'm trying to get off it, and I really am motivated. Which is why ethical vegans, as they're called, are the ones who are the most sticky with veganism, as opposed to, well, it doesn't matter. Okay, one less tree or one less pasture. I'll have some hamburger today. Who cares? Doesn't really matter. Not understanding.
I experienced this in real life. Yesterday, I took my girlfriend out for her birthday. So we still, go out to eat. But of course, we are vegans. And
San Francisco, this is?
We actually went up north. We went to the Pelican Inn in Marin County next to Muir Beach. So we, the dogs got to have a good time and we enjoyed the beach. And, when they were talking us through the menu items, I made an effort just to amuse myself to say, oh, well, we can't eat the meat, not because we're vegan, but because, the doctors told us that these were bad for us. Oh, okay. Because it's so much more socially acceptable if you don't eat meat because the doctor said you have to cut meat out of your diet. But if I say it's because I don't like hurting things or killing the planet, then it's like, oh, you fucking weirdo.
Yeah, indeed. Isn't that something?
Okay. Tell me in the comments, people who are listening, is that not true? Will you not receive less backlash if you say, oh, the doctor said I can't eat red meat anymore? You'll do better in a social setting than if you were to tell people, well, suffering, consciousness, awareness of where my food comes from.
That's a great point. And just to put it in different words, see if I have this. So it's easier in the general public, or in a restaurant, let's say, to say, yeah, I don't want to eat that meat because it might affect my health a little bit.
Right.
That's fine. But if I say, I don't want to torture and kill an animal, like, weirdo, what is with you? You're weird.
Right.
You crazy vegan. Yeah. What's wrong with us? Honest Outer, by the way, makes a great comment. He says, our poor treatment of animals whom we consider less than ourselves directly correlates to legitimizing how the elite treat humans they consider less than themselves.
Yes, amen.
That's a really profound comment. It reminds me of my first vegan activist I ever met, Will Tuttle, does the World Peace Diet, and he's the first one that planted the seed in my head from his World Peace Diet book and his World Peace shtick, that we humans harm ourselves psychically, spiritually, emotionally, when we do what you just said, or was the example you gave at Pelican Inn, where you kind of tamp down the harming animals. Yeah, whatever. You're taking a part of yourself and you're suppressing your consciousness in an area. Not to mention, literally, the workers in the factories become, like war victims, where they're killing animal after animal after animal all day on an assembly line, and what that does to the human psyche to survive that kind of brutalization of the innocence, which is the animals we eat.
I want to read a couple of comments.
Please.
NC says, I even feel safer saying God won't let me eat meat.
Oh, right. Because God, the invisible man who lives in the sky, told me not to do it. Well, okay, that's a good reason. Now I'm on
Phoenix
your side.
says, Amen. Hello, Phoenix. And Leah, of course, immediately jumps in. She's like, "No, you have to say that it's about the animal torture. Trust me, I'd say it plenty every now and then. I just to make sure that I'm still accurate in how weird humans are. I play these social games
I
to
love
see.
our educated audience. They're awesome. You guys are great. Thank you. It is nice. I
I
mean,
don't want baby animals to be slaughtered for something I don't even need. Boy, how weird is it to have veal on a menu and lamb? God, do people even understand? And I we're gonna skip this one on accident if I don't mention it right now. An honest doubter earlier mentioned, never mind that God created Adam and Eve as raw vegans, which is true if you take the Bible and the Garden of Eden at its word. But again, isn't that funny that that would be looked down on? It's like, I don't know. Oh, I know why. This tied into something you said earlier about Hollywood and our ancestors with the paleo diet and always successfully hunting down an animal to have fresh meat, which is just not true. We were mostly plant, root, nut based, and so were Adam and Eve. If you believe, of course, if you buy into that, then the very, very, very origins were indeed vegans, not paleo diet people. If you want to take the religious route, and if you want to take the scientific route, that doesn't end well for you either, because while yes, they did hunt for supplemental meals, it was supplemental meals. It was not primary.
Yeah, there were gatherers and then at times hunters when they made a kill. But arguably, now maybe I'm going too far here, but there were fewer options in the prehistoric times, as opposed to, I don't think they had as many SUVs and as many malls they could drive down to go to the Safeway and get whatever food they want from wherever. Right? It was more limited choice. The original paleo diet, folks. That's kind of neglected in the paleo diet recommendations of people who want to bite into a steak and say "F you" to the vegans.
Humans are close to being commodified. Well, some humans are commodified.
Certainly objectified. I mean, even when you say, the enemy streaming across the border, or the criminals as the orange McTurtler.
How about sex trafficking?
Describe them. Objectification of young women, underage women at that, too. Yeah.
Pina Pachamama. I think I've been to that. Very nice lady owns that.
Pena Pachamama.
That's in the North Beach-ish area.
I was there in the 80s with the Pachamama Alliance, and it's a wonderful restaurant. Yeah, I didn't even know they're still open, honest outer, so thank you for that. I was going to ask you whether you went to, the two plugs I'd give are to San Francisco restaurants, vegans, is Rad Radish,
yep,
which I really like, kind of cafeteria style. Actually, there the other night, last week with my brother, and then their sister restaurant, which is a white tablecloth, nice place for those folks who want to spend more money, on Union Street, is Wild Seed. Two really good vegan restaurants, which I often want to support.
They really, it is good. Loving Hut's a new one.
So I don't know if I've been to Loving Hut, vegan restaurant in San Francisco.
Yeah, Sharon orders it for us.
Okay.
And yes, Wild Seed's pretty amazing.
Because here in educated, progressive, sensitive Marin County, there is not one vegan-only restaurant. Crazy.
Leah.
Leah, you have something to say, Darwin. I leave it to you to say.
Leah had an AI thing. Oh, did you? Maybe she emailed it to me. Leah, what? Say it in the comments, and then I'll look it up while you're saying it in the comments. She had a good addition for us.
And by the way, just to Leah's point, and she's right. We say meat, to be abbreviated, and she's always kind of given me the fuller answer, which is meat, dairy, fishes, not fish, individual, but fishes, all of the fishes in the sea, and sea creatures, marine creatures, and eggs, of course, too. All of that is part of the I'm not going to eat those things. So I don't want those animals to suffer. Vegan diet. We seem to be going on to the vegan diet more than the AI talk here. Not that that's wrong, but I do want to follow through with that promise at some point. We got a couple more things to accomplish this show, although we're only halfway through.
Did you actually want to play a few of those other videos that you sent me this morning?
You know what, buddy? I will leave that to you. Sometimes it's fun to throw some video in there. I wasn't sure about the rules of what we can. If I find some podcaster who says something great, and it's 60 seconds or 120 seconds, and he's got a couple little short clips of something else, what are we allowed to show on this, which ends up on YouTube? And I just like kept it simple and not pushed on that.
I just want to put this up really quick.
Sure.
One more of the mini graphics that I grabbed today. I'll make us a little bit smaller. And defending AI art, which I think you would probably be a little bit offended by. Like, just why can't we be the artists? Why is it so important for you to even offload the joy of artistic expression? But underneath of this excuse-making post about things that are at least as damaging or more damaging than AI, underneath of it, it said, this was fact-checked as correct. And in fact, it's not correct.
Go over this. Would you get into this? This is 1 pound of almonds use, is that 1900 gallons of, I mean, I don't know that these are true at all, but I mean, that's the damn thing. You can just make up anything and just flood the zone, the Steve Bannon term, with disinformation.
So the almond estimates actually range from 700 up to 1800. And
gallons of water per what? For how many almonds? For what amount?
I think this is showing poundage. And then for the beef, it's also 1 pound. But the lowest estimate when it comes to the beef was 1800 and then up. And what they're doing here is maybe accidentally, but they're actually downplaying the damage of beef in this graphic. And they're also, by the way, that it's like a couple of entries into Chat GPT that they're comparing to this. It's like, okay, so how many different AI modules are going simultaneously, and how many billions of people are using it simultaneously? And you want to talk about you want to try and compare it to a couple of entries of queries?
And the large language models are not the most consumptive of energy anyway. It's video generation, to make video pablum, or as John Oliver did a piece on it called AI slop, where right now they want you to use their system, so they make them look to be cheap because they're trying to get people addicted to this stuff the way we got addicted to our phones or to Facebook or anything else, or Netflix, and then they start charging you once you're addicted. So just using language models isn't nearly as consumptive of energy as video generation. And of course, videos are increasingly, we all can create them now. I've been tempted to use them, but I'm not, because I just don't want to they're not that necessary for one. And then I think these stats are wrong. And then what Neil deGrasse Tyson said this recently, and I thought, I don't always agree with what he says. He can be an arrogant but basically he was saying, because he's an expert in certain areas, he will go to ChatGPT, as I did this morning with some point raise issues that I know a great deal about. And I ask it a general question, and then it gives me an answer, and you get to read it and say, well, that's right, but that's not right. You know how accurate or inaccurate it is because it's an area of expertise. So you have to always look at the sources for a Google search or an AI-generated supported search, whether it's in Google or anywhere else. So again, you have to use these tools with incredible discernment. As here now, getting into the details, producing 1 pound of beef uses a massive amount of water, which estimates only falling over 1,800. And I've heard up to 2,500 gallons of water per pound of beef, primarily for growing the vast amounts of feed. Right. Instead of eating the feed directly, it goes into the cow. And then also for, cleaning, drinking, processing for that cow, 30 to 40 gallons per cow per day to drink. This significant water print is why beef is considered one of the most water-intensive foods, far exceeding the production of pigs, which they call pork, chickens, or plant-based alternatives. So, for me, that fact exists, comparing it to, it's less harm or more harm than wasting money on cooling data centers, it's kind of irrelevant. Like, stop eating the beef. It's a non-essential food. It's a luxury food, which is massively environmentally destructive, ecologically harmful, in ways much worse than just water consumption. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg, right?
Yep. Oh, Leah had sent me this Sentient Futures summit that's going to be in San Francisco. And join us at the frontiers of non-human welfare. But it's AI.
I'm sorry. I was reading a comment. I wasn't paying attention to what you just said. I'm sorry.
And Leah, I don't know if it won't put your link in the chat because I did scroll up and I don't see the actual link in the chat.
Just put it with a, if it doesn't, sometimes you can just spell out DOTCOM and then it will, he can copy the link over. Thank you, Corinne, for the $5 super chat. Seed money to Mr. Schuyler for hosting this on this platform. Appreciate it. Honest Doubter says the calorie conversion for raising livestock is horrifically bad. That's likely why the government has to subsidize the industry to the tune of billions. Oh, and by the way, I do want to talk about government subsidies of the cattle industry, specifically in Point Reyes. I did find one article that I want to touch on in answer to the editorial you and I discussed that we might show or might not. Feeling the Marin Independent Journal, the local paper here, is just so far out on a limb supporting the ranchers and being anti-logic and anti-facts that we were maybe going to get into it and then talk about how that ties into huge federal government subsidies for the cattle industry, which the public is blithely unaware of.
Oh, is this the article that starts with the farmers living in Point Reyes face an uncertain future?
Yes. The title is, I have it open here on my desktop. Some Point Reyes ranch workers facing uncertainty as deadline approaches, but it's not an article. It's an editorial, my friend. Oh. The editors of the paper, who are guardians of the truth, supposedly, are just complete shills now for the cattle industry inside Point Reyes Seashore. They omit huge key information, which I repeat ad nauseum and will continue to repeat. They are the park's major polluters. They are heavily subsidized. They were never supposed to stay there. Those three omissions are lies by omission. They don't talk about any of that in their article about, oh, the poor ranch workers face an uncertain future.
Well, boo-hoo. I'm facing an uncertain. Since when do we all think that it's...
So we have a chart up here.
That the future is always certain. My God.
Do you want to explain this to me? What we're looking at? Is this an accurate chart? I don't know what I'm looking at. Water consumed using ChatGPT versus other activities.
Oh, it's another graph showing. Well, again, the big orange is one hamburger, and to the left, they're showing 300 ChatGPT queries compared to one hamburger.
Is that saying that's a lot or a little by comparison? I don't even understand that.
Well, I think that their intent is to defend AI, but you're helping me show how bad a hamburger is.
I see their point. They're saying, hey, you're eating a burger. That's way worse than using ChatGPT, which is, by the way, language, not video. That's not the issue. Language is relatively non-consumptive compared to the massive amount of energy and water and land and data center construction that's putting small towns out of business required to do AI video generation.
So Leah, if you see that there, it's blank. I guess it's auto editing out links. Sorry. And did you read this follow-up?
Honest Adder says, I'm sure the cattle ranchers gave all of their cattle only the purest reverse osmosis alpine water throughout their lives to drink. Well, at Point Reyes, we do know a great deal about that. We know a couple ranches who had water tables and underground water sources. They were tapping the water table. I do know for a fact, Ranch, Bob McClure, tapped out his water underground. He was drained the underwater reservoirs resources after decades of use. And that was one reason. It's like, hey, it isn't profitable to run a business. I got to truck in the water now. But hey, he's still getting super cheap land, renting his land illegally to people who work on his private industry cattle farm inside a national park. And then, of course, it's not a profitable business. The whole beef, as you said before, beef and dairy wouldn't exist without the subsidies anymore. And again, I say this because the general public doesn't know it.
Yeah.
Good morning, Skylar. How are you?
Okay, so where are you going from here? Like, this is your topic, and I feel like I've dominated it so far.
Not at all. No, you're helping me out. Let me do this. I'm not even. This is so lively and exciting, folks, isn't it? With all these wonderful guests chirping in, chiming in. Let me show this. I want to do this. This will take maybe 5 minutes, unless we want to delve into it more. But the editorial from the Marin Independent Journal, and this is for local folks to show. I mean, I subscribe to the Marin Independent Journal. I want to support local journalism. I do. And not all of their reporting is bad, but this one, the editorial was just...
Not all of it is bad. That's about as close to a compliment as they deserve.
Yeah, right.
Not all of it is bad.
My friend Richard and I in New York, we've rated all the world's movies, especially newer ones, jumped out of the Hollywood machine and Netflix productions and Amazon Video, as 2 categories. It's either a total piece of shit or it's not a total piece of shit. My highest rating. So let me share my screen here. Okay, let's see if you can see that. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so Marin Independent Journal, this is a local paper, Marin County, where I am. Editorial, some Point Reyes ranch workers facing uncertainty as deadline approaches. And Skylar wisely points out, well, we're all facing uncertainty. Why is that my problem? Or why is that such a problem that we need to keep ranches inside a national park where they were, supposed to be leaving decades ago because the ranch workers are facing uncertainty? And the main thing I want to talk about here is the agreement, which is the agreement by the Nature Conservancy to pay ranchers to finally leave with a second payment of millions of dollars, more than $2 million per ranch. The agreements met the goals of activists who sought to clear the private ranches, although part of the original plan that created the seashore. So right there, that's a lie. It's at the very best, it's incredibly misleading. The original plan that created the seashore paid ranchers, and then it generously gave them 20 to 25 years to stay and phase out their operations. So it's a very skillful lie. Part of the original plan, well, technically it wasn't the plan that they would stay for 20 to 25 years until the government came up with enough money to pay them off. But it was never that they were supposed to stay there, which is the implication of that sentence. And again, the reason this is egregious is this is the editorial board. These are...
They're bought and paid for. I've talked about, this is the exact same topic that I went to the Marin Independent Journal with a complaint about, because it was the same subject about, my grandfather partnered with the government to create the seashore. I was like, no, your grandfather fought it every step of the way, and here are the documents proving it. In the Marin Independent Journal, it's like, I don't know if that's really proof, but we'll keep printing every lie that the ranchers tell. So my documents, my historical documents, aren't proof, but this person who is promoting her subsidy-driven business just gets to declare something, and that's good. That's fine for you, Marin Independent Journal.
Exactly, and unchallenged, and they've given up going and talking to us activists anymore because we got what we wanted. We caused all this problem, which is rewilding a park. Next one, next bit. Now, as the private ranches move out, the Nature Conservancy, which holds the leases, well, it's a joint issue with the National Park Service, is accepting. This is true. Is accepting. I'm fact checking as we go here. Is accepting applications for other ranchers to bring in their livestock to graze about 2,000 acres to reduce the spread of an invasive plant, purple velvet grass. We can get into that if we want, but yes, they're accepting ranchers. But it gets worse. The sad irony of that. The Nature Conservancy paying off cattle ranchers, but then looking for new ranchers to come in, is not lost on observers. Now, this is the one that makes us choke, because this is a lie, folks. I'm going to say it 3 times. This is a lie. This is a lie. Ranchers who loved and cared for the land. At Point Reyes. Yeah, exactly. So it would be there for the next generation, are replaced by ranchers whose sole interest in hauling cattle, sole interest in hauling cattle in to graze is to make a buck. noted Judy Teichman, a Point Reyes attorney who has criticized the ranch closers. Well, it's true she's supposedly an attorney, and she's definitely criticized the ranch closers. Judy Teichman is, to use your phrase, truly bought and paid for. So she shows up all the time, just like Jack Gescheit is bought and paid for by the wealthy environmentalists who are paying him a ton of money to always say bad things about the kind ranchers who care for their land, who destroyed the land, who polluted the land, who are the number one source of land degradation, water pollution, and air pollution in Point Reyes Seashore. Those people who cared for the land that did not care for the mighty old buck.
I don't know, Jack. I think that maybe Nunez was trying to preserve the soil by burying it in garbage. Nothing can harm the soil underneath there as long as we put like all these old cars and refrigerators and tractor tires and general trash on top of it.
And maybe, to your point, maybe you protect the land. If you cover it in like 6 inches deep of cow manure, it protects the land, like permafrost.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
It works away. Okay, so what I did want to compare that to, so this is all, I mean, it's just terrifying to me, chilling, that is an editorial. I mean, oh my God. So you still got this on screen? Yeah. So this is National Parks Traveler doing an article. This is a couple years old now, but when we were first making headway here, getting the ranchers out, this is February 13th, 2024. And this is a peer report. God, I remember what peer stands for. Public Employees for Environmental Responsibility. Peer, independent agency, did a report. And here it's being reported on by National Parks Traveler. And it says Point Reyes National Seashore cattle deals cost the taxpayers. And again, just a couple great quotes here, and then we can move on. Point Reyes is in Marin County with some of the highest real estate values in the country. That's obviously true. For example, one ranch has been leasing over 1,000 acres with 5 houses and grazing cattle on those lands for less than $2,000 a month, said Peer. Moreover, these private businesses pay no property tax while generating substantial revenue.
Yep.
We estimate that these below-market Point Reyes Point Reyes Seashore leases cost taxpayers around $3 million every year, said Pier's director Jeff Rook, noting the annual lease revenue is approximately $800,000 short of covering the seashore's estimated costs of administering the leases.
Yeah, this is such a good article.
It really is, and it's such a great report, and it's just worth bringing up, and we're going to have to bring this up again because the work continues. Anyone listening out there who wants to join the Point Reyes activism for elk still?
It's something for the Marin Independent Journal to cover this.
Yeah, well, that might be one of our activist strategies. We discuss strategies of what to do, is just bang on this report, bang on this report, bang on it until they actually have to run it, which is what we did in the first place when elk were dying for a decade, and it wasn't making headlines at all.
That's Corinne reacting to you spewing off the long list of atrocities the ranchers committed against the land.
Oh, thank you. If what they do out there is love, it makes you wonder what would hate look like. I guess a nuclear bomb, a nuclear blast.
Well, we haven't been very close to being on topic most of the day. Do you want to? Shall we stay off topic and I'll show the Melania video that you thought was funny, or do you want to do the climate scientist reacts to AI overlords?
This is the textbook example of why Jack is entertaining but scattered. I would love to see the Melania video. That brought me such joy for the creature that is Melania Trump. I almost feel sorry for her, but at a certain point when the administration is killing people, I lose some of my compassion for her and think her making a movie where she makes millions of dollars into her own pocket so that she can escape her psychopath husband and be independent one day, I think it's worth playing.
And I am sorry, Melania, that someone was murdered during your opening and that may have distracted from the headlines. You poor thing. I know I'm so crazy woke to think that someone being murdered by your husband's goons was worth national attention.
Yeah, this is so, I mean, what was the joke I heard is so great is someone broke into my apartment the other night. They didn't take anything, but they left 4 tickets to the Melania movie. And so I reported it to the police as a hate crime. Scared ketchup. Are we allowed to show this and give credit?
Are you not able to see what's on the screen?
I don't hear any sound.
Well, I do.
Interesting. Anybody else? Comment, please. Let us know if you're hearing sound.
It's been a great podcast. Thank you, Corinne. I'm pretty sure that Red Farmer is AI. Red Farmer doesn't make any sense at all.
Oh, is he back in doing something?
Yeah, don't read it.
Okay.
Something's wrong with that person. The man who never looks into a newspaper is better informed than he who reads them, inasmuch as he who knows nothing is nearer to truth than he whose mind is filled with falsehoods and errors.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know why you can't hear this, but it's on the screen and you keep talking over it. So just trust me that it's playing.
Okay. Brilliant.
It's not that good.
Phoenix says no sound, so no one else is hearing sound.
Interesting.
Not sure why. Same with Corinne, no audio.
Yeah. I don't think it's that good anyway.
I think it's freaking brilliant. Now that you don't like it, I like it even more. It's brilliant. Anyway, that is if you go to YouTube and look at Scared Ketchup Melania, or just Google Melania film Scared Ketchup, you'll get to that. I think it's so many wonderful ideas thrown in there. I'm envious of those people, so much so I almost want to use AI video to make some stuff. But
I mean, how obvious is it that that's just a straight up gift bribe, return of favor from Bezos?
Yeah. It's just, I mean, here's the thing. With the Trump administration, it's a massive acceleration of the rot and corrupt that was always in the system. Since I came of age politically in the 1980s, reading the likes of Barry Commoner, if you remember him, first man I ever voted for president for in the 1980, I think it was, and Ralph Nader, consumer advocate, who is bravely critical of government corruption by big business, but he was focused on big business. Well, now it's just really out there on the table. And I also, whenever I say this to a liberal audience, which I believe I'm talking to, not all government is corrupt, and government is not the source of the problem. The source of the problem is unregulated corporations, because they corrupt the government. The government is the only thing we have to possibly push back on a corrupted, capitalist, money-driven, I don't care about the little people, billionaire techocracy. I mean, that's our only protection, as weak as it is. But I don't fall into the crowd that says, oh, all politicians are corrupt. No, they're not. And if you believe that, you bought into the system that wants you to say, oh, I throw up my hands in disgust, to hell with it all, which gives even more power to those who would corrupt it, which is corporations.
Not corrupt, but bankrupt is the Kennedy senator. Good job, Trump. Yeah. Boy, how long is his list of things that he's bankrupted?
Well, that wonderful book by, I think Rick Wilson wrote it, Everything Trump Touches Dies. You heard that title?
Well, he's trying to kill the entire planet at the present.
Yeah.
Here's one more video, and let's see if the audio works.
Okay.
Can you hear it? That's really weird.
I appreciate you're trying to play that too. It's a good little bit. Yeah. I don't know.
It is not muted.
So, folks, while Skyler attends to that, I will entertain you with my
spent running. Yeah, we're not going to hit the climate goal.
Oh,
I just heard it.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I think it was working.
Anyway,
there's no way it's going to get to 100% carbon-free power production.
I don't know. It sounds cool to try to build them in space.
Okay, let's do this. I'm Adam, I'm a climate scientist with a PhD in atmospheric physics, and I'm here to help you make sense of the world that we all share. And today I'm trying to make sense of what our AI tech overlords have been saying about climate change. I'm going to react to some of their claims, talk about how reasonable they are, spoiler alert, not very, and hopefully add just a little bit of context. There has just been so much said and written about AI and climate change and environmental impacts, and so I thought it was fair enough to let the CEOs speak for themselves and see what they actually have to say for themselves. And where better to start than the one and only Sam Altman. He penned this, I have to say, kind of ridiculous piece about a year and a half ago called The Intelligence Age. It starts with, in the next couple of decades, we will be able to do things that would have seemed like magic to our grandparents. Quite a bold claim, but it gets bolder, if you can believe such a thing. He goes on to say, although it will happen incrementally, astounding triumphs, fixing the climate, establishing a space colony, and the discovery of all of physics will eventually become commonplace. I mean, if we're just allowed to make things up to make our products sound cool, then I can tell you that Climate Adam is going to make artificial intelligence 100% reliable with zero hallucinations included, but only if you like, comment, and subscribe. It's really important to remember that Sam Altman, at his heart, is a salesperson, really trying to sell us the great myth of artificial intelligence, that it's going to solve all of our problems for us. And he's by far and away not the only tech CEO to make this kind of claim. Here we've got a clip from Jeff Bezos.
I guarantee you there is not a single application that you can think of that is not going to be made better by AI.
It's worth noting that Amazon just had an AI energy summit, which they packed with climate change deniers. And then similarly, we've got this from Bill Gates.
Whatever green product you think is going to be the hardest, rethink how hard that's going to be, because the AI tools are so phenomenal.
Now, I personally know some people who think this isn't just overblown, it's a flat-out lie, and that artificial intelligence's role in this kind of innovation is overplayed to the point that there might not even be a role. Now, I'm personally not of that opinion. I think artificial intelligence, in the broad sense, can really help us with especially some of the more technologically difficult challenges. And we've already seen artificial intelligence, machine learning, playing a really important role in certain other fields, like in molecular biology, helping us understand the structure of proteins. But there's a long, long way from going, it could help us develop some technological difficult tools to it's going to solve the problem for us.
I like Corinne's comment. We already do things that would be magic to our ancestors.
Indeed.
And who I'll tell you the magic we're never going to be able to recreate, and that's this planet.
Life on the planet. Right, nature. Exactly.
An honest doubter says using a chess engine in 100% of your chess play destroys your ability to play chess. Well, that's what I would think.
Exactly. Well, of course, you're not practicing thinking. You're outsourcing your thinking, as you said so simply earlier. That's the problem in all these realms. And then to your point about making art and making graphics, like we want the machines to do our toil for income so that we have leisure time to make art. And what's happening with a lot of AI and technologies is the opposite. It's replacing the things we love to do, make music, make artwork, singing, is all artificially created. And then we still don't have the jobs as an artist. Anyway, obviously I say this to then pay our bills and survive in the first place. And, don't you trust Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates, these remarkable, charming people to have our backs and look out for us? It's just so. Anyway, that guy, would you put the link if you haven't already, in the chat to that guy? There's a great video. Thank you for playing that. I sent that to you and I'd forgotten I'd sent it to you. And he's measured in a way that I find myself not able to be, saying it's arguably not true, as opposed to it's a total friggin' scam lie. And they are just salesmen, but he says a lot of great stuff. And that was like a 30-minute video. And I feel like a huckster, a lazy cheater for just saying, play that video, folks. But that way I'm not basically playing the whole thing or asking Skylar to play it all. His content's great, and he really goes over all the talk about AI tools. That's who that lineup of tech billionaires is. They're AI tools and shills for AI.
I feel like here I'm putting the link in the chat. This was the response to Elon Musk many years ago that I always love going back to. I'm donating $100 million towards a prize for best carbon capture technology. Someone responds, "Congratulations to whoever invents forests."
Wow.
Which is a good ending point for us because it brings together what we were just saying. Stop trying to improve upon something that already had itself figured out. We just keep destroying it and then glorifying that we're inventing new ways to try and overcome the problems that we created. And yet we never actually do overcome them, do we?
Like managing forests currently, which is a local near and dear issue to me in Marin in California and the US and abroad as well to Europe. Managing forests so they don't become fire dangers, and they are fire dangers in the first place to whatever extent they are because we've cut down so many forests. We've heated the atmosphere and heated the planet. We've created a climate crisis by, in large part, not only, but large part deforestation. Also, obviously, carbon emissions and methane emissions from cattle. And we're going to fix it by more management, more messing with nature and killing, always with the killing. Good morning, everyone. How are you this Tuesday, February 3rd?
We're going to have to do better with uplifting topic next week.
I know, indeed. You know, I could do, let's folks in the chat here, and let me ask you, Skyward Live here. We got a few more minutes if we want. I don't know if we get 10 sharp. I do have some wonderful more video of Gertie, the young cow at Jolene's retreat in Sonoma County. I was up there recently photographing all 20 of the farmed animals that have been rescued there. And there's some really just sweet photographs and a couple little video clips. Maybe we can tie it in with some larger topic, but that's uplifting stuff because you get to go visit.
Yeah, we can we can open up with things like that. How's that?
Okay. And folks, by the way, if anyone wants to go to Jolene's, if you're an animal person, I'm going to be leading another one of my I did it a couple weeks ago, iPhone photography workshops, so you can get practice on how to use one of these things better, and be around the animals all day as well. And that's on February 28th. So 3 weeks away, the last Saturday, February 28th this month, an iPhone workshop. It's on my treespiritproject.com events page. And then just 2 weeks away, 2.5 weeks away, on the 21st, I'll be doing the same thing in Point Reyes, doing a workshop for the iPhone on the lands of Point Reyes. And I've already got, 5 people signed up for that. So only 3 more spots to take a tour of some of the elk reserve, see some of the ranches, and also play with our iPhones and get much better using them. So if either of those events interest you to learn your iPhone better, the 21st and the 28th on the events page. Thank you, Skyward, for letting me say all that. And in return, let me plug Skyward Thomas on the Watching Humans podcast. He does a range of topics, not just this one with me, which I'm happy to share with him, on his YouTube channel, Watching Humans. So he's here every Tuesday with me, as we are, 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 noon Central, but also he does a vast amount of work for which he is not well compensated. So as Corinne is kicking in money to Skyward, please do so again. Throw him $100 if you can, or $20 if you can do $20. It's all appreciated. To Watching Humans, not just this podcast. Thank you, Skyward.
Thank you. And Corinne, thank you so much for all the kind words. I'm glad you enjoy the show so much. And thank you, Honest Doubter. Thank you, everyone who listened and commented and participated today, except for Red Farmer.
I read some of the comments. They're just odd. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're right. It's some sort of a weird chat bot. He's an odd dude.
It's very weird.
Algorithm, yeah. So, positive note. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, and call my phone, Jack. I'm going to walk the dogs.
Okay, very good. Bye, everyone.